Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. You only win a Super Bowl 2 times every 5 years, right? Oh! The warm-up act is over. Let's bring in Melissa Etheridge, massive Chiefs fan. Melissa.
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score! And we'll see you next week, but until then, as always, go Chiefs. Welcome into the Arrowhead Addict podcast. It is the Chiefs post-game show. It is not a victory party. For the first time in 328 days, the Kansas City Chiefs lost a football game, this time to the Buffalo Bills, 30-21 on the road in Buffalo. A game that was closer than the final score would let on, but the Bills kind of had the ball last there, and they executed, and the Chiefs fell by 2 scores. So great game by the Bills. Patrick Allen Sterling Holmes here with you to talk about it, have a little therapy, break it down. Sterling, thoughts on this one?
Yeah, congratulations to the Buffalo Bills on winning their Super Bowl. They can hang the banner now. They can finally hang that regular season banner. They love that banner. Here's what it comes down to. One, I'm thrilled we no longer have to hear about the Chiefs being undefeated. I was tiring. I tried to pump the brakes on that perpetually, and I felt like I was alone in a corner there. It's not that I don't love the Chiefs or want them to win, but I want to be a realist here. The Bills care more about this game than the Chiefs did. I'm not trying to make excuses here. We'll get into the entire game and break it down. But look at what Josh Allen does versus Kansas City versus other teams. Look what he does in the playoffs, and that's how he plays against Kansas City. They care about this game. It meant more. The only chance they had of getting the 1 seed was if they won this game. Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, I'm hoping, is holding something back. Now, the frustrating part is, how do you not put a spy on Josh Allen pretty much the entire game, but especially in that moment? That, for me, is the frustrating aspect of this game. Everyone knew what Josh Allen was going to do on that 4th and 2, what the Bills were going to do on that 4th and 2. Tony Romo's calling it, and yet no spy. There's a lot of things to get into. Obviously, the loss of Jalen Watson this particular game is really showing that it reared its ugly head. Shamari Connor with more bad than good. The tackles weren't great. The tackling of the Chiefs defense was atrocious. But where I'm at here is congratulations to Buffalo. They really did play a good game. Josh Allen did not have a lot of weapons. They found a way to get it done. That 4th and 2 was a very gutsy play call. They didn't kick the field goal. They were aggressive. Again, sometimes you tip your cap. They put a spy on Mahomes early in the game on that 3rd and 4. I thought Buffalo had a really nice game plan. So tip your cap to Buffalo. You move on. The undefeated season is thrown out the window, and you can focus now on the three-peat.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. A frustrating game if you're a Chiefs fan, but a really good game by Buffalo. They took away what the Chiefs wanted to do. What the Chiefs have a very specific formula this year for winning, which is run the football, control the time of possession, and the Bills took that away from them in this game. The Bills controlled the time of possession. They had the ball 34 minutes, 3 seconds to 25 minutes and 57 seconds for the Chiefs. And for me, it really kind of came down to that drive at the end of the half. People are going to talk about, Mahomes' interception, and it was bad, and he helped them out. But Josh Allen turned around and had an equally bad interception that helped the Chiefs out. So you call that a wash. But at the end of the half there, the Bills were able to go down and get those points. And that was that set them up for that 2-score lead that the Chiefs were chasing the entire second half. If you're looking for a silver lining for the Chiefs, there's a lot to break down on the negative. So we're going to spend a lot of time on this episode doing that. By the way, this is the Arrowhead Addict podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. If you're looking for a positive, it was when the Chiefs had the ball late in the fourth quarter there, and they went down 9 and they had to score. They had to have a touchdown. They just marched down the field on the Buffalo Bills. They scored fast, and credit the Bills. The Chiefs defense couldn't get off the field and the Bills iced it. That was a positive sign. And the Chiefs were aggressive on that drive because they had to be. And so my silver lining is, Chiefs fans, they can move the ball when they need to. And I think maybe they'll learn something from that, because the reason why I think the Chiefs aren't as aggressive offensively earlier in games is because of their tackle play. They're worried about the tackle play. They're trying to slow down the game, win that time of possession, and then, keep it close and win the game at the end, which they've been doing that all year. I think you'll see a different Chiefs team, and you usually do in the playoffs. They come out firing in the playoffs. They come out attacking. They usually score early. That we saw it in Baltimore last year. They came out and they were moving the ball really well, and then they had to play defense the rest of the way. So I think the Chiefs offense can move the ball when they need to, but boy, oh boy, the protection issues are forcing them to play a certain way, and it can come back to bite them. And it did in this one when they go up against a high-powered offense. It could be hard for them to keep up.
Well, and again, this is just something to monitor. Let's take the first interception by Patrick out for a moment here, because that was just atrocious. That was brutal. It happened, and Mahomes has thrown just some inexcusable interceptions this season. Absolutely horrible. But what I liked from then on, the first 15, you were still in that sort of mantra there, still in that first 15 playbook. And the Chiefs offense was humming. And I don't know if that's good or bad, where you say, okay, maybe the Chiefs offense looks the best in that first 15. Hell, drop a first 30, baby. But like, they got Xavier Worthy involved. They did a few nuanced things that we don't traditionally see. McCole Hardman with a run. Is Xavier Worthy getting really involved early on? We can get to that should have been a deep ball catch that did not happen yet again. But I loved Andy Reid using a player who's traditionally not used as often. The Bills are probably thinking Travis Kelce, DeAndre Hopkins, and the Chiefs said Xavier Worthy, the guy that you decided to trade with us, basically, so we could have him and you could get Keon Coleman. Xavier Worthy, for the majority of the game, outside of one particular play, I thought was really good. And I liked that early on. But again, just going back from the uniqueness, there's a difference between uniqueness and overthinking. Overthinking is calling a timeout when you had a advantage on the goal line on first down with Kareem Hunt, and you easily would have walked in for a touchdown. You call a timeout. Now, they still scored a touchdown on that drive, but that was overthinking. Yeah. Uniqueness, right, in my opinion, is getting Xavier Worthy open in space, is doing those end arounds. That first play of the game, the fake pass, and then the pop right there. Like, that's what I like to see. But that seemingly went by the wayside as the game went on. The Chiefs seemingly abandoned the run a little too early for my liking. Again, Kareem Hunt's not going to be the explosive running back, although he did have his longest rush of the season. But you were getting 4 yards on first down. Keep doing that. Again, I think you'll see a differently coached team come playoff time. If you play the Buffalo Bills, again, tipping my cap to Buffalo, they did play a good game. But yeah, there were just a lot of aspects of this game that felt, as I see in the chat, lazy. It almost felt lazy at times.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. They were a little sluggish on offense. They didn't stick with the run in the way, particularly in the first half, in the way that they had. Kareem Hunt finished this game with only 14 carries for 60 yards. Nice average, thanks in large part to that 17-yard run. It was just a weird, disjointed game for the Chiefs. But I think, honestly, like, the story of this game for me is that the best player on the field was Josh Allen. And it wasn't particularly close. In this game, Josh Allen, he had the one bad mistake, but he made the plays that the Bills needed when they needed them to make the plays. He wasn't going out there and lighting it up. He threw for 262 yards, but it was like when they needed a big third down, he delivered for them. And I actually tweeted this at halftime that, both the teams were doing really well on third down. And the Bills just They were 9 of 15. The Chiefs were 5 for 10, but they were only 5 for 10. I thought Josh Allen was just spectacular in this one.
Yeah.
The Chiefs couldn't stop him. Like they just couldn't stop him. He kept moving the chains, draining the clock, keeping Mahomes on the sideline. And it's probably the Chiefs probably should have got a little bit more aggressive early in that second half when they had that 2-score deficit hanging over their heads the entire half. And when they stopped the Bills at the start of the second half, and then they got the ball back and they didn't do anything with it, that really kind of screwed them up. And I think the defense was tired, man.
Yeah, I know there's going to be a lot of talk about the Chiefs finally breaking the 28-point streak, right? The defense not giving up 28 or more. And this was the game that did it, obviously. But they were on the field a lot. The Bills seemingly dominated this game. Time of possession, Josh Allen, just whenever they needed a big play, he was able to get it. It was almost like watching the inverse of what we're typically used to watching, right? This year, it's been the Chiefs dominating time of possession. Third down, you need to get a third down. Mahomes, the Chiefs are going to pick it up. That was the opposite here. The Chiefs got the Bills into many a third down. The Bills just kept picking it up. They got them to a fourth down. Stopped them once. They got the one that really mattered. It was almost, again, like watching the inverse of Kansas City all season long. The Bills are a really good team. And Josh Allen showed why, in my opinion, he's the second best quarterback in the NFL. He can make so many plays that no other quarterback can make. When Karlaftis early in the first half, towards the end of the second quarter, when he rolled inside, tried to get that pass rush going. Well, he didn't keep contained, so Josh moved to the outside and was able to throw an absolute dot. I can't remember if it was Shakur or who it was on the outside, the receiver. He's just such a unique quarterback to try and go up against. Lamar's not making that throw. Lamar might run it there, but he's not making that throw. The Chiefs' pass rush clearly has a lot of issues. They obviously went out and brought in Joshua Uche, still waiting to see him have some sort of impact. Chris Jones had a splash play here and there, but you're not really seeing a whole bunch of negative plays from KC. You're not seeing the defensive line win early. And quite frankly, you're seeing teams pick on Drew Tranquill, some of the safeties in coverage, and obviously CB2, Najee Johnson right now. And if you're not getting home early, you're really putting an emphasis on those guys getting beat.
Yeah, Najee Johnson struggled. Obviously, pretty brutal game for Chamari Connor. He made some positive plays as well, but missed tackles, out of character for him. And this is kind of what happens, right? When you go on the road to it. By the way, shout out to the Bills fans. I mean, they playoff atmosphere. That place was lit. They were loud the whole game, especially when the Bills needed them to at the end. And I think that gives you we know that gives you a little extra juice. If you're the home team, you're a little bit quicker. You're a little bit more fired up. And I thought the Chiefs played a little flat and they just got beat. The good news is, it's their first loss of the season. They're going to be able to go back to the drawing board and kind of study. And that's why I never get too down after losses like this, because we've seen it so many times. First of all, Chiefs lose to the Bills in the regular season. They beat them in the playoffs. But, the Chiefs have such a coaching advantage. And I think they'll learn a lot from this when they go back to the drawing board. And if and when they see the Bills in the playoffs, they'll be better prepared. Now, look, the Chiefs, this is a coaching staff that doesn't need to lose to learn from their games. I mean, they can win close and they're still tearing it apart. But
that Denver game wasn't an example. Let's be real. That should have been the wake-up call.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what, though. You look what Denver did today to Atlanta. Like, if you were feeling a little bit bad about the Chiefs kind of struggling with Denver, shout out to Sean Payton, man. Like, Bo Nix seems like he might be the real deal. He's got that team playing really, really well. They've got a very good defense. The offense is coming along. So, look, this was a heavyweight fight, and the Bills just landed more punches than the Chiefs in this one. But I got to say, look, like, I'm worried. If I'm worried about anything, because I don't think it's correctable, is I'm worried about the tackle situation. And Mahomes he's got to play better. Like, he's got to play better. I mean, he'll tell you that. I think he will play better when they get in the playoffs. But this is one of those games where he got thoroughly outplayed by Josh Allen. There's really no debating it. And he didn't make enough plays, and Josh Allen did, and the Bills won for it.
Yeah. It's weird because you're seeing some plays that look vintage Mahomes. Like when you saw that touchdown, as you're talking about how they drove down the field when the Chiefs really needed it. Found Noah Gray in the back of the end zone. Noah Gray, good job to try and find open space, get open, keep your feet in bounds, all that stuff. Make yourself accessible for Mahomes to find you. But then you're also seeing the inexplicable interception to start the game. You're just seeing some of these aspects of Patrick that we're not used to seeing him. He didn't look Travis Kelce's way hardly at all. Didn't look DeAndre Hopkins' way, in my opinion, enough. I don't know what to make of Patrick in this offense right now. I know you're missing Hollywood Brown and Rashee Rice, and everything's a lot different than you expected heading into this season. But this wide receiver group is still so much better than it was last year, and they still found ways to get it done. Mahomes looked better last year than this year. Even again, with their turnover and the uniqueness of the wide receiver core, they're still better overall. What is wrong with him? Like, I'm not saying he's a bottom 10 quarterback. I'm not saying he's a bum. He's still a great quarterback, but this is not the guy we're used to seeing.
No, there's so many changes that have been happening with this offense. I think that's number one. And we've talked about this on the show before. They practiced one thing all of training camp. The injuries have really mounted on this team on the offensive side of the ball. DeAndre Hopkins, I know he's made an impact, but he's just been there for a cup of coffee. He gets Juju back in the offense this week. He's been on the shelf for a number of weeks. He's knocking off the rust. But, the concern is it seems like when a team wants to, they're kind of able to take Kelce away. Like this game, only 4 targets for Travis, just no impact. So I think that's it, right? Like when you look at this game, a game against a high-powered attack like the Bills, you need Travis Kelce to have, 7 for 85 and a touchdown. Like you have to. And if you don't get that from him, if he gets taken off the board, then you need DeAndre Hopkins or a combination of guys to do that. And Xavier Worthy was pretty much a non-factor after the first half. Hopkins made a couple nice catches, but he had 3 catches, 29 yards. So I think it's just honestly, it's a lack of weaponry for Patrick Mahomes at this point. Like they've been making do with Kareem Hunt. It's been incredible. Timely catches, Juju, Justin Watson. My hope is that as the season goes on, DeAndre Hopkins gets more and more integrated into the offense and starts making an impact. And they get Hollywood Brown back just before the playoffs. I think if that happens, you're looking, and of course, Pop is coming back. So, you and I have talked about this, Sterling. I mentioned this to you on the show maybe a couple of weeks ago that I thought I'm excited for when Pacheco gets back because Kareem Hunt doesn't really have the outside speed that he did in his younger years. But Pacheco is very fast. He's a 4.3 guy. And both of them can just hammer it up the middle. Kareem Hunt runs with a lot of strength. I think when Isaiah Pacheco gets back, you're going to see a different Chiefs offense and a much more dangerous Chiefs offense because we know they could attack up the middle. But right now they're trying to manufacture an outside running game with other players, with Mecole Hardman, with Xavier Worthy. They're not really trying to run outside with Kareem Hunt. So they're a little bit one-dimensional. And teams know what they're doing now. They know that they want to run Kareem Hunt up the middle. And as good as those guys in the middle are, if teams are going to stack the box and they know where you're going, they're going to be able to slow you down. I think that's what we've seen early in games the last couple of weeks. We saw it last week, saw it against Tampa Bay early. I think when Isaiah Pacheco gets back, the Chiefs are going to start running the ball 30 times a game with these tackles. And I don't know that teams are going to be able to stop them.
I mean, the Chiefs did it with Kareem, and it was effective, and they were winning. I don't know why. The effectiveness of Kareem has gone down as the weeks have gone on. The effectiveness has waned, and I'm with you, but that's not the big issue to me. I think that's just saying it's going to be a slight boost, but I don't think it's going to all of a sudden be a game changer for the offense. It's the tackles. It's what it is. It's the tackles. Like I think he has weapons. I think that's a little bit of an excuse for Patrick. I don't think he's comfortable because even when he has time, in the back of his dome, Jawan Taylor, not as often, but Wanye, and whatever, God forbid, Kingsley, who wasn't active in this game, by the way, they had Ethan Driscoll lined up as the backup left tackle if something were to happen to Wanye. That's the issue. And I've been a big supporter of Wanya Morris. You know that. But I still think that even from the earliness and the struggles of Kingsley, Patrick is not comfortable on that blind side. Wanya's been okay, but he's not just this lockdown guy. That ain't prime Tyron Smith over there. Okay. So I think Patrick's in his head, and I think you're seeing it on these deep balls. I firmly believe that. We can rip on Xavier Worthy all we want for not coming down with that ball. I'm with you. He should have caught that ball and stayed in bounds. But can we also put at least a little bit of, if we're going to say Patrick's the best quarterback in the NFL, he's the only quarterback that can compare, if it's him, Joe Montana, and Tom Brady, then we have to have these conversations of holding him to that standard. And if that's the case, why is he throwing it so close to the boundary? Why? There was way more space down. What do you, like, again, Xavier should have gotten that ball in. I'm not disagreeing, but both things can be true. If we're going to say he's the best and all this stuff, that should be a throw that he makes and not leads him too far to the boundary.
Yeah, you got to help out your young player, right? I mean, there was nobody within 20 yards of Xavier Worthy on that play. You could drop that ball in the bucket. It wasn't a bad throw, but you're right. Mahomes has got to play better, like he just does. And you've got Josh Allen out there with, now granted, he had Amari Cooper back in this one. But I mean, you're not looking at the Bills wide receiver core that they rolled out there today. You know, Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, and quaking in your boots. Dawson Knox, like you're just not. But he threw for 262 yards. It's just it's one of those games, man. They're in the like doldrums of the season as well, where things start to get a little stale. It always does. So we're going to have to see, man, but you're right. It's the tackles. Like if this team does not win the Super Bowl this year, it's going to be because of the tackle situation. And that one, I don't know that they could have done anything really at the trade deadline, but you're going to look back, and if they fall, the two times that they really didn't win the Super Bowl will be because of protection issues for Patrick Mahomes. But they need to, go back, hit the tape, and lick their wounds and go back and keep winning and hope Buffalo slips up, because now, like, look, man, you're looking ahead at that schedule. The Pittsburgh Steelers are for real, and they put it on the Baltimore Ravens today. They stopped the Ravens dead in their tracks. That's been an explosive offense. They're multiple. They're hard to stop. It could be another ugly Christmas day for the Chiefs if they can't get their offense going, because, the Steelers, Russell Wilson, man, he's making throws. Like, he's moving that offense. So yeah. The Chiefs they no longer have the stranglehold on the number one seed. Buffalo is there. We got to get some super chats really quickly. We're way behind on those. Appreciate you guys and your support. Shout out to Caleb Rennick. Said, by far the worst tackles in the league. I don't know enough about the other tackles to say whether or not I agree with you, but it's not good.
I will confirm they're not the best.
Yeah, they're definitely not the best. Slothy says, donates $21.30 saying, okay, it was a loss. Good job, Buffalo. I know this isn't your Super Bowl because you lose Super Bowls, but it was a good game. We'll send you to Cancun in January.
That was a good one, Slothy. Yeah. Appreciate you. That was good, man. That one solicited a nice chuckle when it went through originally. That I thought very creative. Appreciate the creativity, Slothy.
And shout out to our guy Jalen, man. $50 super chat. I'm frustrated after watching the game. So many things I point to why they should have won the game. First is run the ball. 2 is spy Allen on critical downs. 3rd is they got out coached. Kelsey clapping at the end. Chiefs will get the last laugh. It's just like there's just no reason to panic. It's frustrating. It's never fun when your favorite team loses a game. But again, if we're here for one thing at the Arrowhead Addict podcast, it's to give you perspective. Zoom out. It's been 328 days since these boys lost a game. The last time they lost a game, they played one of the ugliest football games I have ever seen and lost at home on Christmas Day to the Raiders. The Raiders are hot garbage this year, okay? And then they went on to win the Super Bowl. So you just don't make it through an NFL season winning every single game. And the Chiefs learn a lot. from their wins and they learn a lot from their losses. And, good. Time to refocus. Time to not stand there and expect Leo Chenal to block a kick at the end of the game to get you the W. Like, the fact of the matter is, and I think this should be the message from Andy Reid and the coaching staff. We've got to get out of the goddamn gate faster. Like, enough of this. Enough of these slow starts, fucking around, trying to pull it out at the end of the game, trailing in the fourth quarter all the time. You're the Kansas City damn Chiefs. Go out there and be aggressive early and put teams on their heels a little bit. I think that's probably the main thing in this game, that when I look back on it, they're just so passive early. And it's like, oh, if we're behind by 9 points, we got to score. They're like, whoop. They look as good as the offense has looked all year, just moving right down the field. So, they got to come out a little bit more aggressive, get a little bit of confidence, and I think they'll be fine.
Yeah. A couple more super chats to get to. One from Wiley Possum. Appreciate you, Wiley. Says, Build made close contested plays today. KC didn't. Yeah, I mean, Amari Cooper was able to, whatever your thoughts are, he was at least called that was a catch, right? That's basically the Xavier Worthy play, right? So that if you want to call it that way, yeah, they made the close plays that the Chiefs really didn't in this one. Also went on to say had chances but didn't capitalize on them. Game of inches. 9-1 rebound next week. Need better O-line play, or Mahomes going to have to be MV Pat again. Let's hope both those bottom things are true. Better O-line play and MV Pat. Super chat from Daniel. Appreciate you, Daniel. Says that Worthy play was the turning point. Stopped Buffalo and had a chance to go up. Another Buffalo win in the regular season versus KC seems like a familiar story. And if this is, again, in that, it's not even a trilogy at this point. What comes after a 3? I know the number 4, but like what's it called?
Quad?
Well, yeah, but it's you have the sequel, you have the trilogy. What's the 4th one?
I don't know. What do you call it?
I don't know. The 4th one.
That's why I said the quad. I don't know. Fucking, it's probably played out at that point, and they're going to go to space. That's usually what happens when they start getting into 4, 5, 6. No, look, man. I think that's a really good point about the Bills making play. Like, they just made more plays than the Chiefs in this one. When a missed tackle here. The other thing that you should be a little bit concerned about, I think, if you're the Chiefs, is the way the Bills challenged these Kansas City cornerbacks down the field. The pass interference penalties. You can get open deep against these guys. Spags is going to play aggressively, and if those blitzes don't get home, you're in trouble. And when you're going up against an experienced quarterback like Josh Allen and one who's mobile, who can extend those plays, it's a huge problem. I actually thought the Chiefs defense had a little bit of a beat on the Bills' snap counts. Like, there were a couple plays there. They got out of the gate so fast and caused instant pressure. But in general, they needed to blitz to cause problems. And shout out to Josh Allen, man. He wasn't afraid to sling it down into Curtis friggin' Samuel and Khalil Shakir. And those guys were making plays down the field. And that really stressed this Chiefs defense. They moved the chains. They moved them. I hope the Chiefs learn a lot from this one. Yeah, we got to do that read. Okay, let's get it out of the way. Thanks to producer Richard for the reminder. You know that Underdog is the place to play if you're a sports fan looking to win money while watching sports. With over 5 million happy players and 2 billion won, Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in on your favorite athletes' performances. Compete against other players just by selecting higher or lower on 2 or more players' stats, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money. So turn every touchdown into a win with Underdog. You can just download their app today. Use our code Arrowhead Addict. That's one word to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Again, that's our code Arrowhead Addict, all one word, to get up to $1,000 bonus cash instantly. Just select higher or lower on your favorite players to cash in on Underdog. Sterling, take it away.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Well done. I've been getting better. I may be able to challenge you.
Wait, Jesus Perez says Sterling's shave was bad luck. Shoot, I did shave before this game.
I shaved too, man.
Damn it.
It was the No Shave November, and the photographer came over yesterday for the family pictures, with Rory this year for Christmas and all that stuff. And I was looking at the beard and I'm like, I'm gonna shave it off. I want to look clean shaven. It's our fault. We shaved. Chiefs lost.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Well, it's soup. It is soup season and beer season. And when it gets too long, that you're like, come on. I'm getting icicles in this bad boy. It's time to shave.
Shout out to Clear the Air with E for the $99.99 super chat after a loss. You guys are incredible. That's a Super Bowl. Cool. Celebrate. Means nothing. It's true, man. I mean, it means what it means, right? The Chiefs lost, the Bills outplayed them today. But it's just one of these, if you get too down, one, you're nuts, because even if the Chiefs don't win the Super Bowl this year, hell, if they go on a losing streak and don't make the playoffs, we got nothing to hang our heads about here. I mean, we got Super Bowls coming out of our ears. But we've seen this happen over and over and over again. Oh, we lost to the Ravens in the regular season. We lost to the Bills. We lost to the Bengals. And in the playoffs, the Chiefs almost always come out on top. They've got a coaching advantage. They have the best player on the planet. They always figure it out. And I'll tell you what, just think about last year. They lost they were losing games like crazy down the stretch last year. It really didn't look like they were going to turn it around. They're losing on Christmas Day. They win their last two games. They go into the playoffs, and you're like, I don't know, man. The receivers and all this stuff. They're going on the road. They got to play the Dolphins, and they're going to Baltimore, and they're going to Buffalo. Won them all. Go to the Super Bowl. They're playing the big, bad, scary 49ers. They weren't favored in any of those games. They won them all. So if you're going to let a loss to the Bills in the regular season get you down, after they started 9-0, I don't know what to tell you. Go have a spa day, recharge, and then come back.
Yeah, and here's where it comes down to again. The Chiefs were 5 of 10 yet again on third down. In the red zone, they were 3 of 3. So again, they're still effective on third down. They're still outstanding in the red zone. Those are some of those trends that have been starting for the past 4 or so weeks that we were kind of monitoring, and that's still there. Again, those red zone numbers to me are huge. The first 7 games of the season were a struggle in the red zone. They've picked it up. They're continuously picking it up, and they're still scoring, still getting touchdowns 3 for 3 this time around. The issue is the Bills were just as good, if not better. They were 3 or 4 in the red zone. But the Bills were, again, 9 of 15 on third down. That can't happen. The Chiefs defense that typically thrives on third down. We're used to Spagnuolo sending the blitz or getting in the quarterback's head. They did not get in Josh Allen's head tonight. Now, again, we talked about leading up. They sometimes don't show everything in the regular season. They really don't. The Spags, Andy, they do hold some things back. Were they holding back, or did they just get beat? Because Spags got out-coached, and that's rare. Again, I'm not trying to be a whole angry at Spagnuolo type situation here. The Chiefs are 9-1 coming off the back-to-back Super Bowls. It's okay, but it's fair to say he got out-coached in this one. While the Bills coaching staff, again, I thought did a great job throwing the spy on Mahomes on the third down situations. Spags didn't do it.
Yeah, and the Chiefs just couldn't get off the field. I mean, the fact of the matter is, with 7 minutes and 53 seconds left, they scored a touchdown, and it was a 2-point ball game. And, Mahomes did get the ball back, but that was it. That was the drive of the game. How many times this season have the Chiefs had the ball last, driven down the field, used up most of the clock, and won the game? And this one, they're going up against a really good offense. Their defense was tired. They were on the field a lot, in part because the Chiefs' offense wasn't efficient and wasn't as effective as it could have been earlier in the game. And they were tired, and the Bills made more plays. And so it kind of comes down to a drive. And, that just kind of is what it is at that point. So, nothing to hang your heads about. I'm not concerned in the slightest. And look, man, if you need a palate cleanser, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, well, guess what? Next week, you're going on the road to take on the Carolina Panthers. Noon kick, no prime time, get right game for the Chiefs. And if you're not satisfied after that, you come back to Arrowhead Stadium and you get to take on the Las Vegas Raiders. So this is it. Like, Charles Omenihu is coming back. Isaiah Pacheco is coming back. Uche's getting worked in. Mike Dana's been out. Like, he's just kind of getting back into a groove. So the reinforcements are on the way for the Chiefs, as are a couple of preseason games against the Carolina Panthers and the Raiders. And it's a great time for the Chiefs to get a little bit of their swagger back coming off this loss, work on some things to kind of get ready for that stretch run. Because after that, you got the Los Angeles Chargers, who are playing really good football, coming to Arrowhead. You got to go take care of the Cleveland Browns. And then you got Houston, Pittsburgh, and oh, by the way, that Week 17 game on the road in Denver, you're probably going to need that one now, unless the Bills really help you out, and it's going to be no cakewalk. Denver might make the playoffs, man. Like I said earlier this week that I was like pretty sure that the Bengals are still going to make the playoffs because they don't have that hard of a schedule. They're still high powered on offense. And the teams that are standing in their way are the Chargers and the Broncos, but the Broncos keep winning, man. I mean, that was a huge, I thought for sure they were going to lose to the Falcons. That was a huge win for them today and a big blow to the Cincinnati Bengals, who at this point, they can't slip up, man. I mean, Denver's 6-5 and they're Denver's 2-4 in the conference and Cincy's 2-4. So Cincy doesn't have a margin for error. And oh, look, here come the Miami Dolphins. They got Tua back. They're starting to move the ball again. So the Chiefs could be looking at playing a divisional team in the playoffs, which I never really like very much.
Well, and again, what's I know there's a lot of people who are angry or upset, and I think we've been fairly calm overall. But you saw the Chiefs get beat by the second best team, I think, in the AFC. I think the Chiefs and the Bills, like we've pretty much thought for the past few weeks now, the best two teams in the AFC. The Detroit's over there in the NFC. They're kind of by themselves in the NFC, but AFC speaking, it's been Chiefs and Bills, right? The Chiefs just ahead after this game. I think it's fair to put them on fairly level playing field as far as this season is concerned. The Ravens just fell to the Steelers. I still think the Chiefs and Bills are better than the Steelers. There's not really there's nothing to hang your hat on. There's nothing, or hang your head, I should say, when you lose to what I think is little brother, but not like little brother in the negative sense.
Yeah.
Like not little brother in the sense of like, oh, you should wax them. That's the Raiders. As in like slightly little brother that sometimes gets you every once in a while in the regular season, but when you really go all out, you find a way to turn back the clock and get it done. That type of one. Because the Ravens kept getting all that love. What are the Ravens? Like what are they doing? They've lost 4 games. It's Chiefs and Bills right now. And then you have the Steelers in there who are really making a case for themselves. But yes, this game matters. Yes, it will have playoff implications, but this game was also in Buffalo. I don't think there's a lot to be extremely upset about. This happens in the NFL. We're not used to it as Chiefs fans. Good teams win games. You will occasionally lose. The Chiefs had their occasional loss.
Yeah, they got it out of the way early last year and lost to Detroit, and so it kind of sucks having it come so late. Shout out to Jalen for the super chat. It says critical point in the game, 2nd and 4 at midfield, second drive in the third quarter. They drop back and get a holding call, punt. Yeah, man. I mean, penalties. The Chiefs got penalized in this one. They didn't get very much pressure on Allen at all. No sacks. Just not a great game for them. They got to go back to the drawing board. We mentioned Buffalo, who obviously now is waiting for the Chiefs to slip up again so they can get that number 1 seed because they now own the breaker. But the Chiefs still have a game on them. For the Bills, it comes down to the next 3 weeks for me. They take on the San Francisco 40. They've got a bye week in week 12. Then they take on San Francisco at home. That's going to be a tough one. They go on the road to take on the Rams. That could be a tough one for them, man. The Rams can score. They're a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde this year, but when they've got Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua going, that could be a shootout. And then they go to Detroit on December 15th. That's the game the Chiefs need, Detroit. We're all going to be Lions fans on December 15th because if they can knock off the Bills, if the Bills drop another game, it's going to be hard for them, I think, to obtain that number 1 seed. And you mentioned Pittsburgh. And I just want to look at their schedule really quickly as well. So Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh, look, man, they're in this number one seed, race as well because they play the Chiefs. Pittsburgh's only got 2 losses. They're 8-2. Their schedule is as follows: at Cleveland, at Cincinnati. That could be a tough one for them. Home against Cleveland, at Philly, tough game. At Baltimore, tough game, versus KC, tough game, versus the Bengals. I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers are getting the number 1 seed. That's a brutal stretch. If they can navigate 2 games against Baltimore, 2 games against Cincinnati, the Eagles, and the Chiefs, they're losing, 3 in that stretch probably? At least 2.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't expect them to get the 1 seed, but that win against the Ravens was at least a slight wake-up call. I know they play the Ravens tough. They have their number, especially Lamar. I get that. They're just a physical, well-coached, do the little things. That's what they do. They're the K-State of football. Like if you're in the local area here, you watch K-State, not last night against Arizona State, but typically K-State play football. They always win on the margins. That's what the Pittsburgh Steelers do. They win on the margins. Again, my main takeaways coming out of this game, the things to watch: pressure on Patrick. Patrick, yet again, missing the deep ball. CB2 is a legit issue. Overall, I'm not worried about tackling, but I am worried about Shamari Connor tackling. He had, I believe, 10 missed tackles heading into this game. There were at least 2 massive ones in this game. That is something to monitor. That's probably my main takeaways as far as going forward. I don't want to overreact here, but tackle, CB2, and then, of course, Shamari Connor's tackling overall.
And I'll call out one more thing. They got to get Chris Jones going, man. I know he's getting double teamed. I know he's getting pressures and all that. But where was Chris Jones? Like you're the guy. You got the bag. You're part of the Hall of Fame trio on this team. Last drive of the game, you got to come up big. You got to come up with a sack. You got to come up with a strip sack, a big play. He's not been there this year. He's got 3 sacks. Three. And again, I know it's not all about the sack numbers, but as we go down the stretch here, we need to see more from the Chiefs stars, and that's Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, and Patrick Mahomes. All 3 of those guys step their game up a little bit. This team is good. They're going to be fine. If they don't, they're going to have a tough time in the playoffs because you win with your stars.
Super chat from Jalen. Appreciate that. Jalen says, critical point in the game, 2nd and 4 at midfield. Second drive of the third quarter. Oh, we did this one already?
We did.
All right. I wanted to shout out Jalen. Appreciate
Jalen's the man. Jalen's the man. All right.
But yeah, those first 2 offensive drives after the defense did their job coming out of half was very, very frustrating.
All right. We're still going to hand out hardware because people do play bad or play well in losses. So it's time for earning their Arrowheads. Sterling, who do you think showed up today for the Chiefs in the loss?
I'll go with Noah Gray. Thought Noah Gray had a really nice game. Noah Gray was real solid, I thought. I was very impressed with him overall. Again, making himself available to Mahomes in the end zone. You love to see that from him. That's great. Schrader, he didn't have a field goal opportunity, but he at least made all 3 extra points. Those things were not getting blocked because those things were kicked to the moon. So I'll at least say Schrader for not being an issue in this one. I'll go Nick Bolton. I actually thought Nick Bolton had a really nice game. I don't know what anyone else thought. I hate that I'm wearing a Mizzou hat right now as I'm praising Nick Bolton because I hate to be the you're just a homer for Nick Bolton because he went to. No, I thought Nick Bolton had a really nice game. He laid the wood on Josh Allen early. I thought maybe that will help set the tone. But overall, I thought Nick Bolton played a pretty solid game. I saw him make a lot of plays, get involved. I'll say Ariza, Noah Gray. Not Ariza. Schrader, Noah Gray, and Nick Bolton.
I'm going to give one to Bolton too. Obviously Josh Allen was able to run on this team a little bit, but Cook was not. Cook's a very good running back. I thought they did a really good job. I know he had the 2 touchdowns when they got down into the red area, but on the whole, the Chiefs did a really good job against him. He had 9 carries for 20 yards. That's 2.2 average. Ty Johnson didn't do anything, 5 for 18. Ray Davis, they put him in and gave him 5 carries, 5 for 11. Like, you just can't run on these Chiefs unless you're a running quarterback, of course. So shout out to the Chiefs defensive tackles, the linebackers, for continuing to be excellent in that regard. I'm going to give one to Kareem Hunt. I thought he played a nice game for the Chiefs, 14 carries, 60 yards. Wish he got the ball in his hands a little bit more. And I got to give one to Big Mike Caliendo for the first down conversion. He now has more catches and yards this season than Sky Moore. Mike Caliendo, he's your wide receiver 9. Which is not too bad.
Him and Wanye Morris have more. It's incredible. Yeah. Both 2 offensive linemen. No, that was a great catch, honestly, because he got drilled. He got hit pretty hard and pretty quick after catching that thing. I would not be surprised if you're not used to that, getting drilled as an offensive lineman, catching the ball and holding on. So I was impressed with Caliendo's ability to maintain the rock there. And I also see some folks in the chat. Great call. Trent McDuffie. McDuffie had a very nice bounce back game because McDuffie got cooked against the Broncos with Cortland Sutton. And when I say cooked for what Trent McDuffie is, not for your average CB. Really nice to see that did not get in his head. He didn't lose any confidence. I thought McDuffie played outstanding in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, Chiefs offense, ball's in your court. You got to step it up a bit. The defense has been bailing you out game after game after game. This one, you asked a lot of them. They weren't able to deliver, gave up 30 points. Chiefs offense does a little bit better. They'll be fine. All right, everybody, we're going to get out of here. Let you enjoy Sunday Night Football. Really good game coming up there. And we'll be back next week starting on Tuesday with our regular slate of shows. Shout out to everybody who made the shows happen today. Of course, our members, we value you so much. Check out the link in the description if you want to become a member of the Arrowhead Addict podcast community. It's a great way to support the show. You can leave us a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts. And of course, you can support us by checking out the Underdog links as well. Appreciate producer Richard, Adam Best, Matt Connor, Price Carter, and of course you, Sterling, for making the shows happen today, keeping everybody informed and providing some analysis. We'll be back next week, and the Chiefs will get back on the winning track as they head to take on the Carolina Panthers. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.